When you think about the military dynamic between the United States and Iran, it's one of the most complex and tense situations in the world. But it's not just a simple standoff. It's way more like a high-stakes game of chess, with each side carefully positioning incredibly powerful pieces across a global board. So let's take a look at the board itself. We hear a lot of tough talk from both sides, right? But the really crucial question is this. If tensions were to finally boil over, what would a conflict actually look like? On the ground, in the air, and at sea. To really get a handle on that, we need to break down the capabilities and the strategies each side would bring to the fight. Okay, first up, let's examine the American side of the board. The U.S. has built up this immense military presence, strategically placed all over the Middle East over decades. Now, the centerpiece of this whole setup is the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. We're talking about the largest U.S. military base in the entire region, home to more than 10,000 troops. But honestly, its real importance goes way beyond just the number of people there. What makes this base so incredibly critical is the CAOC, the Combined Air Operations Center. This is the forward headquarters for CENTCOM. I want you to think of it as the ultimate nerve center, a real-life war room that gives military planners a live, real-time picture of everything happening from Egypt all the way to Kazakhstan. They can see every platoon, every tank, every warship as it happens. And Al Udeid is just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. The U.S. has a whole network of these critical bases. You've got the headquarters for the entire U.S. Fifth Fleet over in Bahrain, projecting all that naval power. Then you have more strategic Air Force bases in Kuwait and the UAE. What this does is create this powerful, distributed military posture sitting right on Iran's doorstep. But like in any good chess match, this isn't a one-sided game. Iran has recently unveiled a brand new piece on the board that really fundamentally changes the strategic math, the hypersonic missile. So to really get why this is such a big deal, just look at these two flight paths. A standard ballistic missile, it follows this predictable arc, kind of like a long-range cannonball. Defenses can calculate that arc and plan an interception, but a hypersonic glide vehicle, that is a whole different animal. After it gets its initial boost, it glides and it can maneuver, making its final target completely unpredictable until the very last moment. Iran's version of this is called the Fatah missile. It travels at over 5 times the speed of sound, but its real threat, the thing that keeps people up at night, is that steerable warhead. It makes it incredibly difficult to defend against, and it is genuinely debatable whether America's current defensive systems could actually stop it. This is a complete game changer. So, with a threat like that out there, how is the U.S. positioned to defend its forces and its allies? Let's take a look at America's defensive shield, which is designed to counter not just Iran's massive stockpile of ballistic missiles, but now hypersonics too. The U.S. really relies on a 2-tiered system. First, you have THAAD. That's Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. And just like the name says, this system is designed to hit incoming ballistic missiles way up high, even outside the Earth's atmosphere. Then, for anything that gets through or is flying lower, think cruise missiles or drones, you have the Patriot system as the next line of defense. Now, it's really important to put this into perspective. While this system is robust, it's not the same as that multi-layered, super comprehensive shield that Israel has with its Iron Dome. It is a formidable defense, for sure, but as the source material points out, it has its limits, especially against a brand new, tricky threat like the Fatah. Of course, defense is only half the equation. If an attack were to happen, the U.S. has an overwhelmingly powerful offensive playbook. So let's look at the American countermove. A key weapon here is the Tomahawk missile. It can be fired from a warship or, even better, a submarine hundreds of miles away. It flies super low to the ground, literally hugging the terrain to stay off radar, and then it can deliver a specialized bunker buster warhead designed to take out hardened targets, like underground command centers. And this just brilliantly illustrates the strategic advantage. When a Tomahawk is launched from a submerged submarine, the adversary has almost no way of knowing where the attack is even coming from until it is way too late. It is a nearly impossible threat to effectively counter. So the crucial point here is the difference between these platforms. An aircraft carrier is a phenomenal tool. It can launch over 240 missions a day. But it's also a massive, visible, and potentially vulnerable target. A submarine, on the other hand, gives you a hidden, stealthy platform for launching those devastating long-range strikes with almost total impunity. Just when the chessboard seems set, a new player enters the game, adding a whole new layer of complexity. We're talking about the deepening military alliance between Russia and Iran. So what does this alliance mean in practice? Well, it means Iran is seriously bolstering its military with advanced Russian hardware. They've signed a deal for modern Su-35 fighters, which are a generational leap over their current aircraft. The goal isn't just to replace their old planes. It's to create a much more credible deterrent, one that could challenge American air superiority in the region for the first time in decades. And that brings us to our final critical question. This isn't just some temporary change. With Iran developing its own game-changing weapons like hypersonic missiles and now gaining powerful allies willing to supply advanced technology, how has the strategic balance in the Middle East been permanently altered? That's the new reality of this complex global chessboard.